one of the most interesting things about someone like Kobe Bryant is how, no matter how close or how far away it might be, everyone has a relationship with him and what you experience with him. So I just kind of wanted to go around because I think everyone sitting here probably has a different relationship with Kobe. Adam, I'll start with you. What was your experience like with Kobe?
I'm glad you asked this one because for me, more so than any other player, he was the guy that inspired me to become a perfect basketball player. I fell short, but he was the guy that just a little bit. But he's the guy that, when he did moves, they were technically sound. They were like, he invented moves, but everything he did was just so perfect. One of my favorite videos, him working out with Hakeem. You guys all remember this 15 years ago when he hired Hakeem to teach him the post moves. When you watch the video, it's not like, check out this awesome move, okay, you do it. He's making little tiny micro movements and trying to train his body so every inch is perfect. Every angle of his foot and his shoulder and everything is so tight. And it's like, when you break it down, it's a science. It's like, okay, this move that looks so smooth and fluid is actually 100 micro movements that all require micro training. And you watch it and you just go, my God, this guy is obsessed. And me as a college basketball player, then even after that, when I just still loved the game and still wanted to get better, you watch those things and you're just so inspired to be like, man, that looks fun. He made the work part of becoming great fun
and cool
and just you were driven by his drive.
And that attention to detail, right?
Just
all that skill. Yeah, Kobe, the more I think about it, the more he's kind of omnipresent throughout my basketball life, which was really kind of my first sporting love. I remember having some VHS recording of that 98 All-Star game with him and Jordan going head-to-head and how important that was. And a lot of the first live NBA games I could see in Italy were in the early 2000s during that finals three-peat runs they had. And then, summers here when the whole scandal was going on and he became a rival that I wanted to beat so badly as a Nuggets fan, and yet he's one of those rivals that really almost the fact that you're able to compete on somewhat level footing almost legitimizes your fandom, that he's like, my father saw my Nuggets lose to Magic and the Showtime Lakers. Now I get to watch my Nuggets lose to Kobe and Phil's Lakers. There's something, though, that it legitimizes you. We were part of basketball history in some way, too, and Kobe's really that touchstone.
There's a small group, by the way. I think for me, and this is going to piss a lot of the listeners off, there's only two. Kobe's one, where it's like, yeah, I hated the Lakers. I hated them, and the Pepsi Center cheered him on. Not just Lakers fans, but Nuggets fans cheered him on the other night because it was like, man, we respect you. We hate that dude, but you know what? We tip our hat. I think the other one, and it's going to piss a lot of people off, is Tom Brady. And this was very, very recently. 4 championships in, I still hated him. It was like, no, he sucks and he's whatever. Eventually, you're just kind of like, no, this guy's, what can you say? He's good and you respect him. I'm going to boo him. I'm going to root against him. Kobe was one of two in that way.
Except Brady's way more punchable. I do respect Brady a lot, but
Kobe is a good villain. I remember when he came out one time. He came out one time and they played the Darth Vader song when they introduced him, and it was the most cool thing ever. I was just like,
so cool.
Oh yeah, he's Darth Vader, and he's like, that's right.
Well, because it was Kobe against the world,
everybody,
even if that included his own teammates.
Exactly. And you were going to bet on Kobe.
Yeah, at times it did. That's true.
For me, I told this story on the DNVR Broncos podcast this morning, but I'll share it here. I think I was about 8 years old, and my sister came in, and I was watching TV, and she's like, hey, who's your favorite basketball player? And I was like, well, my favorite Nugget is Nick Van Exel. My favorite non-Nugget is Kobe Bryant. She's like, but who's your favorite? And I was sitting there, and I was like, I know I'm supposed to say.
Yeah.
That's what I'm supposed to say. I was like, it's probably Kobe. And I didn't know why she was asking at the time. A couple weeks later, Christmas rolls around, and I unwrap a brand new Kobe Bryant jersey. And I would have thought it was cool if I got a Nick Van Exel, but I felt like I was holding something golden.
Yeah.
It literally is golden.
Wow, yeah.
And I was just like, man, it's Kobe. I put the jersey on right away, wanted to go shoot hoops. And the other funny thing is, I realized that if you cover up the B and the T in Bryant, it says Ryan. So when I would go play hoops with my friends, I would put athletic tape over the B and the T.
Oh my goodness!
It's
you were
my
the
own
coolest kid.
my own personal jersey. But back then the Nuggets were so bad, and it was
True.
If you want to watch meaningful basketball,
Yeah.
you got to watch something else. And so I watched the Nuggets games, and I loved the Nuggets. But when it came playoff time, I would watch the Lakers and watch Kobe. And then when the Nuggets got good, it changed everything, right? Because now you had an actual reason to hate Kobe. He's beating you in meaningful games. And it was one of those things where it's like, man, I want to hate him so bad. But when he does, a fadeaway right in our eye, it's just like you can't help but just be like, wow, that's art.
Well,
you love to hate him.
Yes.
And then he was doing that bottom jaw thing. He would flash the Lakers on
But
you.
you know what?
mean,
You
man.
only do that if people can't shut you up. You know what I mean?
Killed me.
Like you do that stuff, you're vulnerable. He was fine with being completely vulnerable because that's how confident he was.
And you hated him because you didn't have anything else. You couldn't be like, well, my team's going to win. You know what I mean? Like, you had to hate him.
You can hold him to 60 sometimes.
For me, my connection with him, he was born in Philadelphia.
Oh, that's right.
Knew where he went to high school. Knew he was a diehard Eagles fan. And so, of course, I saw him as a great, great basketball player. But when I was growing up, I definitely wasn't focused on basketball. But as I've grown, just seeing him post-career and just the way he's helped further, like, women's sports. And then I guess my connection with him would definitely be just, like, I loved watching him watch the Eagles. And, like, I tweeted out, like, I'm just... as a fan, like, you got to see him be a fan when the Eagles finally won their Super Bowl. And, like, everyone, like, Philadelphia was in tears from having that. Yeah. And, like, he had that same reaction as a fan. And the fact that he was able to feel that way as a fan, it's different when you're a player of a team, but he was able to feel that and celebrate and being holding his baby girl, like, freaking out and, like, so happy.
The tear gas was also causing fans to cry, though. Like, let's be fair, there was a couple things.
Okay.
But you want to talk about being humanized. That video, I think that's my favorite video of Kobe that's not on the court because he's exactly like one of us when our team wins a championship. And he just keeps on saying, we effing won the Super Bowl.
And his reaction was the same as, like, everyone. It was like, oh no, oh my God. Like, what is happening? And it's just like, I don't know. I watched that video a lot yesterday, and it just brought joy to me that he was able to experience that. And just, I mean, everything he's done for women, like, he's just brought more attention to women's basketball, which I think is so huge. And his love for his daughter and just, like, that father-daughter relationship and all of that, that was more of where I learned my connection. He was an amazing basketball player, and I realized that as a kid, but it wasn't all basketball for me.